Welcome to Dodgers Daily. I'm Casey Porter. I'm so glad that you decided to tune in. Hey fans, we have a great show for you today. Today we're going to talk all about the Dodgers' big opening day victory last night against the D-backs. Julio gave up a couple of early runs. The Dodgers got in a 2-0 hole. They were facing Zac Gallen, who historically has been good against the Dodgers that were in the lineup, at least the Dodgers in the lineup last night he had faced in the past. And the Dodgers were able to just grind it out and get it done, play good offense, play some good defense towards the end, good bullpen work. So, hey, it was a big win on opening day for the Dodgers over the D-backs. But before we talk about all that, just a reminder, if you like this video and if you like this kind of content, go ahead and click that like button, leave a comment, tell all your friends about Dodgers Daily, and become a subscriber. Once you subscribe, click that notification bell. Turn on your notifications. That way, each time Dodgers Daily releases a new video, you will be notified. Dodgers Daily can keep growing, and we can keep providing you content like this in the future, as we love to do. Okay, it was a huge victory on opening day for the Dodgers over the D-backs. Let's not waste any more time. Let's talk about it. Let's get right to it. Let's talk Dodgers baseball. All right, not exactly Dodgers related anymore, but this is former Dodger Gusvarland, and I wanted to bring this up because he made his major league debut at Wrigley Field yesterday. He was picked up by the Brewers in the Rule 5 draft straight out of Double-A Tulsa. His brother Louis was the pitcher of the year in the Minnesota Twins organization in 2021. He is also in the major leagues, so both Gus and Louis brothers in the major leagues. This was Gus's major league debut yesterday. He threw a scoreless inning for Milwaukee. You know, Gus started last year. This time last year he was with Tulsa, and he was a starter about halfway through last year. They converted him to, look at that ride and run, 97. They converted him to the bullpen. I had a chance to talk to him on a couple of occasions. You know, it was a tough transition for him. He wasn't, totally fired up about the good slider there about it at first, but hey, it's worked out for the best for him. He totally bought into it. He made some arm slot adjustments. Look at that ride and run. That was 96 there. He's hitting as high as 98 last year, as he put it on his video when he was told he was going to make the major league roster. There were a lot of sleepless nights. There was a long ways to go to get to the major leagues, and he did it. So Gusvarland, congratulations to you and your brother, both Louis, both out of Minneapolis area, and Concordia St. Paul. So Concordia St. Paul, that small university there in the Minneapolis St. Paul area, have two major leaguers in the major leagues now, two pitchers in the major leagues now. So congratulations to everybody involved there. I know Lunch McKenzie is so excited about that, and I'm super excited about Gusvarland. And hey, all three guys that were taken in the Rule 5 drafts, Gusvarland, Jose Hernandez, and Ryan Noda, all three made their opening day rosters for their clubs. Jose Hernandez with Pittsburgh, Ryan Noda with Oakland, Gusvarland with Milwaukee. No doubt the night, at least offensively, was stolen by Will Smith last night, who had 3 hits. And the thing about him, he is so selective. He makes you throw the ball in the zone. And this stood to be a pretty good matchup for Will Smith, because Zac Gallen, he throws his four-seam the most, but he only threw his four-seam coming into last night, or at least last year. Zac Gallen threw his four-seam for a strike only a little bit over 50% of the time. So the game plan was, hey, be selective, make him bring the ball in the zone. What Zac Gallen wants to do to guys is he wants to just kind of nibble around the corners. You saw that all night last night, and a lot of guys will end up getting enticed to swing out of the zone, and that's when Zac Gallen's effective, not Will Smith. Will Smith will make you throw a strike, and whenever you make Zac Gallen throw a strike, which he only does a little over 50% of the time with his four-seam, he's hittable at that point. So that was the game plan for Will Smith. You saw Will Smith lay off a lot of borderline pitches, especially in his second at bat. Go back and watch his second at bat. I believe he laid off 3 pitches that were very borderline, actually got a borderline strike called against him, but then forced Gallen to come into the zone just like that. And then once he comes in center cut, that's when he tee off on him. And, Will Smith was able to. It's one thing to put a game plan together. It's another to execute it. Will Smith did last night. Boy, David Peralta made a splash with his first base hit that you're seeing on your screen here as a Dodger. It was a big one. It was an RBI base hit that gave the Dodgers a 5-2 lead. Not exactly sure why you send J.D. Martinez to third with 2 outs right there, but that wasn't the story of that sequence. The story was David Peralta got his first base hit as a Dodger, and it was a big one. Again, an RBI base hit that gave the Dodgers a 5-2 lead. Hey, this right here is why when you're coming home and you know you're going to be safe easily, you always hustle. You don't take anything for granted, because if there's an out made behind you and that out's made before you touch home plate, that run doesn't score. So kudos to Will Smith for continuing to hustle, although he knew he had home plate made easily, because if he didn't, he would not have touched home plate before that out was made, and the run would not have counted. Okay, so you're talking about David Peralta again. He won the Silver Slugger Award in 2018, Gold Glove Award in 2019. He spent his entire career with the D-backs, so you know that had to be cool. He ended up with 2 hits last night. That had to be cool. Getting to have a big night, his first night with the Dodgers, against the team he's been with his entire professional career, the D-backs. So David Peralta, a good night last night for the Dodgers. You know, Mookie Betts didn't have his greatest night of all time offensively last night, but what great players, elite players do is, even in a night where they're not necessarily, having the best night of their lives, they find a way to contribute, and certainly Mookie Betts did. That was a big out you saw right there. It's still 5-2, and there was 1 out in the inning. The Diamondbacks were looking to rally against the Dodgers bullpen, and Mookie Betts said, trying to stretch this into a double. Watch him pick up this baseball, and as Rick Monday said, all in one motion, just picks it up and gets rid of it. And I love Miguel Rojas. He is what I call a dirt worm, kind of a dirtbag grit worm, just kind of gritty. Look at him get on his knees, do whatever it takes to catch the ball, make the tag, block the bag, whatever you have to do to get it out. Watch Miguel Rojas. That's what he's going to do. I love this guy. He's going to be great for this team. So, hey, Mookie Betts, made an impact with his arm last night. You got to see it. What more can you say about James Outman, the rookie? A lot of people think he's going to be the rookie of the year. It's funny because there was even more people that predicted he wasn't even going to make the opening day roster. They were absolutely wrong. If you were one who was worried, of course I was one of them, just because I was hearing that he wasn't going to make it. But if you were one that didn't think he should have made the opening day roster, I'll just simply put this, and I don't like to be controversial, but I'll just simply say, if you were one that didn't think James Outman should have made the opening day roster at any point in spring training, you've been proved wrong. James Outman used that as fuel, and he has absolutely burned his way not only into this roster, but at this point to be, at least an everyday outfielder against right-handers. We'll see how the Dodgers choose to, go whenever they have a lefty on the mound. And, so James Outman, he had a home run and a double, and before the game started, I posted my favorite moment of last year when James Outman actually hit a walk-off for Oklahoma City, a walk-off home run to complete his first cycle. He was going to hit another cycle, at least he did last year. He hit another cycle within a week, so he hit for 2 cycles and 2 grand slams. He had 296. He had 106 RBIs, 31 home runs, and then we saw how well he did while he was up with Los Angeles as well. He had another big night last night. I like the fact that he went oppo power right there. Look at that oppo power with that arm side run to it, and then he's able to pull one too, so he kind of showed you all in one night that he can take the ball to whichever field he needs to based on where the pitch is at. So, James Outman, he was a football player at Sarah. He will give Coach Walsh a lot of credit for his toughness. He'll give Coach Giannino a lot of credit for his mental toughness, his baseball coach at Sarah. He'll give Reggie, a lot of credit for the focus and the mentorship and the defensive skills that he's learned. And he'll give his mom and dad just all the credit in the world for just the mentorship he has given. He is so thankful for the people who have helped build him. As he'll put it, it takes a village to raise a king, and certainly that has happened. He has soaked it in, and he has turned into a wonderful young man, a wonderful young baseball player. And, he had a big opening night, and I get to all that to say James Outman, with his football background, he loves the big moment. The big moment makes him better. I've been saying that for a long time. And whenever you love the big moment, and the big moment actually gives you good adrenaline, good energy, not nervous energy, but good energy, and you're able to, meet the moment like Outman is, that's a big deal. He's super talented, he's super humble, he's super grounded, and he understands what makes him good. So, James Outman, huge night. Congratulations to you, young man. Well, what'd you think of Julio Urias' outing last night? He gave up the 2 early runs. It just seems like it's like automatic. Usually it's 1 run. He gives up the 1 run, then he goes 6 innings, which last night he went 6 innings. That was like clockwork. He gave up 2 runs, and like I said earlier in the show, the Dodgers got down in a 2-0 hole early on. So he gave up 2 earned runs, but how about this? Okay, 4 hits, no walks. So, he made the Diamondbacks earn everything they got, which eventually, even though they come out hot and going into the game, none of the Diamondbacks had a whole lot of success against Julio Urias. So when they got out to the 2-0 lead, it was a little bit of a surprise. Although Urias, it seems like, always gives up an early run, and then he settles in and goes 6 like he did last night. Okay, so 4 hits, no walks, so he made Arizona earn everything, and when you're left-handed and you're hard to barrel up and square up to begin with, that's a big deal. His whip, his walks and hits per inning last night was just 0.67. So like I said, when you're taking a young team like Arizona, a team that's not used to winning, and you don't give them anything, you don't give them momentum, you don't walk guys, you make them earn everything they get. Make them get 3 hits to get 1 run. When you do that, hey, yeah, they might do that a time or 2 throughout the game. They're not going to do it consistently. That's why the faucet shut off for them last night after they scored the early couple runs. So all in all, very veteran performance last night for Urias after he gave up a couple of runs. All he did was he just went to work and, like I said, stayed in the strike zone, continued to trust the process in forcing Arizona to beat him, not to allow them any freebies, okay? But, like I said early on, Arizona did do a good job of taking advantage of the opportunities they had because they didn't have many opportunities. Urias was 91-92 on his 4-seam. He was 80 on that slurve and 84-85 on the chain. Hey, leave a comment. Tell me where you at on Shelby Miller. I have been talking about him for quite a bit, the former first-round draft pick from the St. Louis Cardinals from 2009. Check this out, okay, going back to spring training, and I haven't gone back to his numbers last year, so just since he's become a Dodger, he has not allowed a run in his last 5 outings, and he's only allowed runs in 1. Okay, he has 8 outings so far this year when you go back to spring training. He's only allowed runs in 1 of those outings, and I think that was his very first one. He seems like he's turning a corner to me. That slider was really good. At any time you have a split finger changeup or split finger fastball, whatever you want to call it, a splitter, that pitch, that was his 4-seam. But anytime you have a splitter, there's the 4-seam up. You saw that ride. It gives that rising effect. Look at the rising effect of that pitch, that ride. He has, it's obvious there's that good little slider. It's obvious that his spin rate is very good because that ball gets a great riding effect. There's that split finger. Anytime you have a split finger pitch, that's unique. And when the hitters, there's that split finger right there. That is just a tough pitch, especially when you only get to have 1 at bat against a guy that's throwing a split finger. Look at the ride and run on that pitch. I'm just telling you, that's very impressive. If you can get that ride around, then you can flatten that one out to the 4-hole right there. There's that good slider. But, that split finger to come in out of relief, that's a great slider right there. And to be able to throw strikes with a splitter, that great ride on that. To throw strikes with a splitter with coming in relief, only getting 1 inning and having enough of a feel of that pitch to trust it and throw it, that is that's really tough to do. It's something that Shelby Miller has been able to do so far in spring training. He did not walk anybody in spring training, didn't walk anybody last night. So Shelby Miller has thrown strikes. He's made the opponents beat him and earn everything they get. And other than 1 outing early on in spring training, I love that split finger. Other than 1 outing early in spring training, they haven't been able to do it. So tell me what you think. Do you think Shelby Miller is going to be a major factor on this team? Here's another guy. Leave a comment, Dodgers fans. Let me know. Do you think we're going to get the Philbickford from 2021, or are we going to get the Philbickford from last year? Which one do you think we're going to get this year? So far, it looks like we might be getting the 2021 version. Okay, last night he threw 2 sliders. The rest were all 4-seam fastballs. So what that tells you is he simplified things. Hey, let's take that 4-seam. He has a lot of whip. He has a lot of knees and elbows. He has a lot of extension. There's a lot of uncomfortableness to a hitter with that fastball. It's like he's coming out of a slingshot out of his hand. That's a tough pitch right there to hit. That's a really loose-looking motion. It's a loose-looking release. So, hey, let's simplify things. Let's just go back to throwing that 4-seam like you did last night, and let's make sure we're actually throwing strikes with it first. before we do anything else, that's what Philbickford has done. That's what he did last night. Again, everything that he threw was a four-seam except for two sliders. That slider right there, you saw that's more of a, and you look at that slider, it's a smaller slider. It's more like a cutter. It's not that big slider with depth. Again, that's a pitch that's, not a great pitch. It's a good pitch. It's on the outer half. It's not on the black. But again, when a guy only gets to see you, and boy, you hit the bottom of the zone. Look at that carry. When a guy only gets to see you once, there's the second slider you threw. So you got to see the two sliders. When a hitter only gets to see you once, their timing's not going to be good. There's one that he has with depth, and he did it with two strikes. So that's how, you're talking about him throwing sliders and four seams, and he has that smaller slider that kind of looks like a cutter. Then with two strikes, you saw him add some depth to it, so that's impressive too. So you could kind of be considered a three-pitch mix right now for Bickford. There's the cutter-looking slider, then the four seam, then you saw the slider with more depth. With two strikes, that's more curveballish. So, and the thing is, the focus is, hey, let's throw the fastball in the zone, and then let's play the slider off of that. So, kind of simplifying things for Philbickford. So far, it has worked. Okay, Bickford has gone scoreless in 7 of his last 8 outings. So, like I said, he's looking more like the 2021 version. What's new? James Outman threw a scoreless inning last night for the 4th outing in a row. Okay, he's known to go on what's called heaters. Mark Washington likes to call them heaters, meaning scoreless performances consecutively. He's gone on 4 in a row, and like I've said a couple of times, last year, other than the postseason and the regular season, after July 4th, James Outman, boy, I love that slider. That slider's elite. Absolutely elite. And that slider, too, see, located on the outer half, he located on the inner half. He's able not only to give that good depth and good late break to it, he's also able to locate it. That's why that slider is so elite. Then you get that two-seam riding in on the hands of the right-hander, so you have that right turn of the two-seam and the changeup, the left turn of that slider, and it is just, look at that two-seam come in on righties to the arm side, and the slider turns left. I love that combo, boy. And then he does make a mistake every now and then. That was a mistake. Boy, that one got away from him. Love the fact that he's throwing that two-seam and changeup. Again, was a good 95-mile-an-hour four-seam. Okay, other than the playoffs, last year, James Outman did not allow a run. After July 4th, there's a good dump me in. And then, he has that slider also. He can just kind of dump into the strike zone and make sure he throws a strike with it. You saw 2 of them out of the last 3 pitches. So he can do just about everything. He can manipulate his slider in just about every way. That's why it's an elite pitch. He also has arm side run, which is able to jam right-handers and run the ball away from lefties. So James Outman has a lot to offer. He is very good, and he throws strikes, which is why he has been so effective. Kind of quietly, Miguel Rojas had 2 hits to continue his very good offensive play this year. Rojas hit .283 in spring training. His OPS in spring training was .831, and last night he went 2 for 4. Okay, this is what I'm going to say about Rojas. I think I've made it very clear. I am super excited about the leadership he brings the team. And the thing about, great players that consider themselves to be leaders like Rojas does, when they make a mistake, that error last night that he made early in the game, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't an error that looked good. Okay, so when you make a mistake like that, great players that consider themselves leaders, find a way to make up for it. He did that in his next at bat, and then he had 2 hits after that error. So more than made up for the error that he made early in the game last night, and the energy you see right there, the positivity, just the positive energy, the competitiveness, the leadership. Love Miguel Rojas. 2 hits last night. He's playing good offense, and if the Dodgers can get good offense out of Miguel Rojas, which I think they're going to do. I've been saying it since the Dodgers picked him up, that he's going to have a good offensive year, because this is going to be the best offensive team he's played around. So he's going to get better pitches to hit. And when you get better pitches to hit, you're going to hit better. So I think that's where we're at with Miguel Rojas. I think he's going to have a good year. We've seen it so far in spring training. Look, that hit that you saw on your screen was, just a fastball on the inner half that he turned on. So Miguel Rojas making a big-time contribution. So there you have it. There's our show for today on the opening day victory for the Dodgers over the D-backs. It was a big one. There was a lot of great action. There was some great action from, some not prospects anymore, but James Outman, Miguel Vargas also got the start, and there were 4 young men on the opening day roster that are eligible to be the Rookie of the Year. And all in all, for a team where it's World Series or bust, 4 rookies on the starting opening day roster, that's about all you can ask for, especially when 2 of them were in the starting lineup. And then Michael Grove, we know, is going to make that 5th start. It's going to be Grove, unfortunately, because Brian Pepio strained his oblique, and it's going to be a minute before I know Pepio talked to Kirsten Watson. I don't think anybody knows truly the timeline, the timetable, as far as what that is going to be as far as Brian Pepio getting back on the roster and into games. So Michael Grove took his spot. So you had 4 rookies on the roster last night, 2 in the starting lineup. That's about all you can ask for. I will keep saying it, though. Gavin Stone has deserved to be on the Major League roster somehow, some way. And Michael Busch needs 300 Major League at-bats. Other than that, that's about all you can ask for as a prospects guy. So super happy about it, super excited about the Dodgers, the way the Dodgers played last night and the season upcoming and the mix between the rookies, and then the guys like Will Smith who are kind of in the middle, and then the veterans, like a J.D. Martinez or Miguel Rojas. I think it's a great mix. It's going to be a lot of fun for the Dodgers fans to watch this year. May not win 111 games, but I do think I know this sounds weird. You may not win as many games, but I think it's going to be funner to watch, if that makes any sense. So I think that's the type of season the Dodgers are in for. Hey, before we get out of here, one more reminder: if you like this video and if you like this kind of content, go ahead and click that like button, leave a comment, tell all your friends about Dodgers Daily, and then subscribe. Once you subscribe, turn on your notifications, hit that notification bell. That way, each time Dodgers Daily releases a new video, you'll be notified. Dodgers Daily can keep growing, and we can keep providing you content like this in the future, as we love to do. Okay, as I always do, I'd like to thank you for tuning in and say, Go Dodgers!